Europe is literally blowing up. Mass uprisings are surging across the continent as the permanent political class is beginning to fall. We're going to take a look at what's behind these uprisings. We're going to see how the legacy media has begun to panic over them. And make sure to stick with me to the very end of this video when we'll find out why all of this is only just the beginning. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, patriots all across the globe. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you. As always, your patriot professor, helping you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent worlds. So you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. And for all of you gold and silver patriots out there, you know who you are. You love the timeless values, silver and gold, particularly in this insane economy. You're getting a huge shout out from our good friends over at Goldco. You've apparently been ringing their phones off the hook, and they couldn't be more excited to serve their fellow patriots. If you don't know them, make sure to click on that link below and visit them. Goldco is a Patriot Gold company. It specializes in helping you find out how you can protect your retirement with the timeless trustworthiness of gold and silver. And they're so awesome. They want you to succeed so much, they're going to give you up to $10,000 in free silver when you open up an account with them. They're one of us, gang. They're absolutely amazing. But this is a limited time offer, so do not wait. Click on that link below or go to turleytalkslikesgold.com and let's keep those phones ringing off the hook. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Europe's exploding. I mean, and it's an explosion that may change the European political order for generations to come. Now, as many of you know, Dutch farmers are pushing back against what they see as the Great Reset and climate communism being forced upon them. The Dutch government has passed radically draconian measures mandating that farmers cut agricultural production by as much as 30%. And this is necessary, according to our governing elite there, to combat the supposedly excessive nitrogen levels that the Netherlands produces every year due to its agricultural industry. But that's not how the farmers are interpreting what's happening. Eva Vlaardingerbroek, a Dutch lawyer, was recently on Tucker Carlson's show, and here's how she explained the concerns of the farmers.
What exactly is this about, and what do you think that it means?
Well, very simple, Tucker. What this is about is the Dutch government stealing our farmers' land. And they're doing this under the guise of a made-up nitrogen crisis. And that is basically going to put most of these farmers completely out of business. And thankfully, the Dutch farmers aren't having it. So they're going out on the streets, they're blocking distribution centers, they've blocked the high roads, they are fighting back. And they're right to do so. This is their life's work. They're really at their wits' end. They're devastated by what the government is doing. And, well, it's very clear that the government is not doing this because of a nitrogen crisis. They're doing this because they want these farmers' land, and they want it to house new immigrants. They also want it because the farmers are obviously standing in their way of the Great Reset plans that they have for us. So, yeah, farmers are hardworking, God-fearing, and especially self-sufficient people that are just standing in the way of their globalist agenda. And it's driving...
Now, that was very well articulated, and it obviously is resonating with Dutch farmers. Their concern is that their government is not just alienated from their concerns. Their concern is that their government despises them and wants to basically cancel them. Now, what's so fascinating in all of this is that when legacy media outlets like Salon.com hear about these concerns, how do they respond? What do you know? They respond by mocking and ridiculing and dismissing these concerns held by tens of millions of people throughout the West. And the self-own is so blatant. It's astonishing that they can't even see it. Tens of millions throughout the West perceive that the political class does not simply dismiss their concerns, but despises them. They revile them. And how does the legacy media like Salon.com respond to those concerns? by dismissing and despising and reviling them. Again, it never ceases to amaze me how utterly clueless left-wing ideologues, particularly in the media, are today. They're so out of touch with reality as to make one wonder how they could put two intelligible sentences together. What people at the very least have to realize, especially when it comes to Europe, is that the issue of farmland is, shall we say, historically rather sensitive. I mean, not even a century ago under Stalin, tens of millions of people starved to death when he attempted to replace Ukraine's small farms with state-run collectives. The European memory does not take too kindly to the state screwing around with farmers. And yet for the legacy media, it's like Stalin never even existed. They just dismiss these concerns as nothing more than the latest conspiracy theory, not real news, like the Russian collusion that got Trump elected or the J6 insurrection that almost destroyed our democracy. I mean, it's so patently pathetic. And unfortunately for them, the genie's out of the bottle. More and more pundits are recognizing that this is just the beginning. The Dutch uprising is indeed the spark that is igniting comparable protests throughout the continent. In the city of Milan, Italian farmers blocked city traffic with a massive convoy of tractors. Farmers were reportedly chanting, "We're not slaves, we are farmers," as they interrupted traffic in cities throughout their nation, including Rome. Italian farmers are reportedly facing an imminent crisis due to a severe drought that's putting upwards of a third of their agricultural produce at risk. It's estimated that Italy faces a 40% loss of water resources in the very near future. All that at the same time, fuel prices are making it virtually impossible for farmers to run their equipment. Moreover, taxi drivers are protesting throughout Rome and Milan and Torino and Genoa in response to the Draghi government's deregulating the sector to allow Uber and multinational corporations to basically take over taxi services throughout Italy. Also, the ultra-globalist Prime Minister Mario Draghi, as many of you know, has submitted his resignation as his government coalition is collapsing, a resignation that has yet to be accepted by Italy's president, who occupies a more ceremonial role that requires him to accept the resignation, which he has yet to do. He's refused to do so. The globalists in Italy are scared to death of a Eurosceptic nationalist populist coalition that's poised to seize power if they were to carry out snap elections. And of course, you can't do that. Globalism is way too important to leave it to the people. So Italy is basically falling apart as we speak in terms of the globalist dominance over their government. Moving over to Spain, farmers paraded their tractors down streets throughout the nation's cities over the weekend in solidarity with other European farmers, particularly over the lack of food and fuel, as well as new government regulations that would force many of them into bankruptcy. In Germany, dock workers in Germany's North Sea ports went on strike on Friday in defiance of the surging cost of living, demanding the government give them pay raises to compensate for the out-of-control inflation. And in Poland, farmers have been coming out publicly against the government's policies of raising interest rates to fight inflation, as well as express their solidarity with Dutch farmers. So what's binding all of this together? And why are pundits predicting that what we're seeing here is just the beginning? Well, obviously, we can't say everything that needs to be said about politically correct, sensitive issues on most social media platforms. And so that's why you need to become a Turley Talks Insiders Club member. Every Monday night, we have an hour-and-a-half live Q&A with yours truly, as well as some special guests like Mike Lindell and Sebastian Gorka. You get to ask us your questions. We talk about everything and anything without any worry of cancel culture. So make sure to click on that link below and sign up to be an Insiders Club member for less than the price of a cup of coffee per day. I can't wait to see you live on Monday nights. So what is going on here, right? Well, many are starting to call all of these regulations resulting in price hikes and shortages greenflation, okay? The consequences of environmental policies that are forcing a massive spike in energy prices. In other words, these are not rising costs due to the ebb and flow of market conditions. We're talking instead a deliberate decrease in investments in domestic fossil fuels that are inevitably shrinking supply while increasing demand, thus spiking the prices and causing jobs dependent on fossil fuels like farming equipment virtually impossible to profitably carry out. So this is what is increasingly being called as greenflation. We're seeing with bike riding Biden, right? Who would rather than invest in our own fossil fuel supply, he's groveling before Saudi Arabia to get them. Note, not our energy producers. No, the Saudis. He wants them to produce more oil, to which, of course, they told him to go suck lemons, go ride a bike. They're not doing it, right? This is the bizarre nature of politicians infected with greenflation. Biden would rather embarrass himself on the world stage than simply drill for oil here in the United States and produce more jobs and energy independence. It's just so sad. And again, it's one of the major reasons why European farmers are having a hard time taking their politicians seriously and wonder whether something far more sinister is happening here. And this is happening at the very same time Western sanctions against Russia, which is the #1 commodities-based exporting nation in the world, are literally suffocating Western populations. That's exactly what Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban has said. He said that the European elite have basically shot their economy in the lungs, and now their economy is suffocating with skyrocketing inflation and fuel costs, making it virtually impossible for more and more citizens to meet their basic daily needs. All of this means that what we're seeing here appears to be just the beginning. Europe is indeed exploding, and the permanent political class may be the next to see their power finally fall. Now, before we go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on Don Lemon melting down as CNN's ratings utterly implode. It's delicious. You're going to love it. So make sure to click on that link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.